We welcome back to the Only Fools and Horses podcast, Daniel Peacock. How's it going?
Going good, thank you, Chris. It's all well.
Great. So the last time we spoke, obviously about Mental Mickey, and we've both seen you recently, haven't we, me and Chris, at your events that you've been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're always wonderful. And I did want to say the next one is in Maidstone,
Oh, great. When's that happening?
10th, I think. Yeah, 10th
Is that with all
December.
the is that with the rest of the gang?
That's with that'll be with Phil Pope and Michael Fenton Stevens, a few of the other guys, and then I think I'm doing the convention in January as well.
Wonderful. Where's the one in
Yeah,
January happening?
I've got to be absolutely honest. I'm not quite sure what the actual date is. If you
That's
ask
not
me
the.
now to muck
Yeah.
about with my computer, I can find out. But everything would go wrong because I'm the worst
That's all
computer
right.
person.
We'll look later. Don't worry.
There's one at. I don't know if you're going that one, Dan. That's March MK Dons, isn't it, with David Jason? Are you going that one?
No, I think it's Milton Keynes, January.
Milton Keynes, yeah. Sorry, yeah, that one. You going that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be good. And there was a story quite recently about you helping out in a care home that made national news, didn't it?
Oh,
Can you
right.
tell
No,
us
no.
about
I
that?
mean, I'm there. I'm profoundly involved with the care home. I go there every day. To be honest. I mean, I do. I've been commissioned to write a novelette, which I do in the evening. Um, but I'm working in the care home without a shadow of a doubt. I was there today, and as I said, and I've said many times, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done, without a shadow of a doubt. My father, I don't know if you know the connection. My father passed away due to Alzheimer's, and my son a few years ago said, um, uh, because basically when my dad passed, um, I was kind of disappointed in. I'd seen him a few times in a particular in up in Yeovil, and I couldn't understand why why there wasn't more activities going on, why there wasn't more help for the loved ones in that at that time myself. So I was sitting on with Charlie, my son. This was about 4 years ago, and I didn't get a third. I'd written a show called Marley's Ghosts. I mean, I've said this before, but and we got done the first series, second series. I was expecting a third series. We didn't get the third series, so I was spending too much time watching TV. And my son said, "You're always whinging on about care homes activities. Go and because he was looking for a job. He said, "There's a job here." I went, "I don't do a proper job." He said, "Well, Dad, you're always whinging on about it. You're doing fuck all. Go and apply." So I applied. They saw me. The next day they offered me the job, and that was 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
Um,
So what
yeah.
kind of events do you put on for them?
Well, basically, I we okay. I'll take you through. I'll take you through this morning. Basically, I go and visit all the residents. We have a chat. We have a laugh. Believe you me, I don't. My personality is such. Dare I say? I hope I'm right in saying this. That I put a real spin on it. We have cinema lunch where I bring the lunches. The guys watch. We do sing-alongs, most of which were songs that I particularly love. But that's not quite true. We get loads of guys in that anything from the 40s to basically to the 90s. We sing along. In a way, I've become an old vaudeville entertainer, um, and you're always on. You're always like a comic on the a comedian on the floors. I like to think that I bring a degree. I'm not saying too much, right? I'm not bigging myself up, but I'd like to think that all my experience in life, and certainly regards my father and things I'd learned prior to that, I now bring to Hastings Court. It's in Hastings. It's the most wonderful care home. This is not an advert for Hastings Court, but and I am biased. but the care we give is extraordinary. The
It must
amount,
be really rewarding work.
it's completely rewarding. Best job I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I've said this before. I used to get paid a lot of money for not doing very much, and now I get paid not very much for doing a lot. And that's the truth of it. But I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's great.
Brilliant.
So hit me, guys. What you got? Hit me with a question.
I was going to ask you, Daniel, about you mentioned Ray Butt last time.
Yeah.
You didn't mention too. I don't think we heard much about John Sullivan. What your memories of John Sullivan from your experience?
Yeah, John. I mean, I met John Sullivan on a number of occasions. I always really got on well with John. And funny enough, I was thinking about this a few days ago. Sometimes I'm not the most professional person in the world, and I'm not the greatest learner of lines. So I have to always go over the lines in my head, make sure that when the director says action, I'm there. But with John Sullivan's words, I only had to look at them once, and I kind of knew them. And I think that's down to his rhythms and the way he writes, or the way he used to write. It's you can always learn good writers or great writers. In John's case, a great writer's lines much easier than you can a bad writer. You work to his rhythms. His rhythms were, funny enough, were my rhythms, and certainly all the actors' rhythms. David Jason's rhythms. I mean, David Jason was just, and Nicholas Lyndhurst speak. You know, that they had masses to learn, and they did it religiously, relentlessly. And my guess is because they were easy to learn because they were so well written. Those particular lines.
Mm. Did you base Mental Mickey on a real life person?
I'd always done. I was in bands from the age of about 17. So no, I mean, listen, I don't know if you don't know this story. Did I mention this story before when Ray Butt asked me into the office? Did I tell you that story?
Where you was on the script, it said
Yeah,
somebody like Daniel
played by
Peacock.
Daniel
Yeah.
Peacock. And I thought, yeah. So I mean, I was so impressed and proud that John Sullivan even knew who I was. So I'm pretty sure that he based it on me, but no, that's wrong. But it wasn't very difficult for me to be Mental Mickey.
He had you in
by
mind.
any
Yeah.
stretch, by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, it's probably the closest part I had to me.
You don't bite people's ears off as well, do you? Like Mental Mickey, surely.
No, I wouldn't go as far as that. But I've done some dodgy stuff.
Do you know the song "Boys Will Be Boys"? I was thinking about this. Was
Yeah.
a full song written of it, Daniel, or was
No,
it
it
just the
wasn't,
bits we? No, wasn't there? No.
no, it wasn't. It was. I think it was a verse and a chorus, and that's about it.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, it's a shame that, isn't it? Like now with a convention, it'd be great, like Philip Pope does, if you got up and sung the song, wouldn't it? And things.
I've. Do you know what? I've actually. Someone asked me to do this, and I thought about it, and
You should. It'd be
yeah,
popular.
I know, but I didn't want to listen. Seriously, I didn't want to. I didn't want to write words which weren't written by John Sullivan,
Yeah,
if you will.
yeah.
However, I have actually come up with a new verse which is very similar to what I think he would have written for the next
Oh,
verse.
really?
Chorus can say the same, but there we are. I think we might be doing that at Maidstone. We'll see.
Ooh, that'd be
Brilliant.
good. You should do a
Yeah.
charity single along with Philip Pope at Christmas or something. That'd be really
Listen,
good.
I love Phil Pope. He's the greatest guy. I mean, he's absolutely top man. Can I just get my daughter in quickly?
Yeah, no problem.
Of course.
No. Can I say hi to the guys?
Hello.
Hello, Lou. How are
Hi,
you?
how's it going?
It's going well, thank you.
Good. And do you remember? Have you seen Dad in Only Fools and Horses?
Yeah, I've seen the episode. I thought the acting was pretty good.
Pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good.
We've got a critic. And Dad says it was the episode like Dad? Was the character like Dad? Would you say or not?
No, I don't think it's like him, but I don't know what he was like when he was younger, I guess.
Yeah,
Boys will be boys.
Lulu's now 23, and I was, well, I would have been like 24, 25, I think, maybe 26, 27. But I was a young-ish person when I did it. Yeah, uh, but because Lulu actually comes to some of the conventions, we have a good
Oh,
time.
do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you a fan
Yeah,
of the show in general? Are you a fan of the show in general, or?
Yeah, I used to watch it when I was younger. I watched it a lot. It was like watching Friends, really. Yeah,
Oh wow,
I watched
really?
all the hours of it. Yeah, it's
What's your
great.
favourite show? Is your favourite show of Fools and Horses what Dad's in? What's your favourite show that your dad's in?
I like the 1 hour specials, because, and I also like, when the wives are involved, or when they're trying to make £1 million, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
when they sell the watch.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. It's a great show. It's brought down through the generations of family, isn't it? Really, Only Fools and Horses.
Well, look, can I just come and sit back here? You come sit with me, Donna. Yeah, I mean, I always think, I always think that Fools and Horses, like David Jason in particular, is someone we've all grown up with. So this goes back to my care home situation. Is you find that there are certain performers, songs, television programs, films that resonate with people, particularly performers, all their lives. And I think we've all grown up with David Jason, and therefore you feel warm and you feel snuggy when when he's on screen. You feel safe. He's
You're in
kind of like
safe hands.
safe hands. He's kind of the English Tom Hanks. You know, they say that in America, Tom Hanks represents America in a way. David Jason kind of represents the English spirit, if you will.
I wonder if Tom Hanks is described as the American David Jason, possibly. Never know.
I'd like to think so, but yeah, well, that's another.
No, not so much. But obviously, David's real name isn't David Jason, is it? It's David White, I think, isn't it? His real name.
That's right. And I worked with David's brother a few times.
Arthur.
That's right. Yeah. Um, I'm guessing that's because there was another actor called David White.
And do you know who it was actually, Daniel? Do you know?
No,
Do you remember the film, the program Bewitched?
yes,
Bewitched
very much.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Darren, the husband, the bank manager there, the grey-haired fella, the bank manager.
Yes.
His boss,
Yeah.
he was David. He was the David White. Apparently, I only realised that a few years ago.
All right. Okay.
That's what it was. And he's called Jason because of Jason and the Argonauts. He's a big fan as a kid, apparently.
Right. Okay. Yeah. As was I. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, that's why he's. But I know they never say meet your heroes. I met David last year, and I was like a little child, nervous child, meeting him for the first time.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
But my big hero was Ian Jury.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and many years ago. Yeah. When I was driving up to, I was 19. And I was driving up to Chelsea, Pontins. I was going to be a blue coat entertainer, it was called. And I was driving illegally. I hadn't passed my test. That's okay because I paid my penance for that. In a white 1800, the Austin 1800. I remember, and on the radio came an Ian Jury song. So we're talking many years ago. We're talking over 50. No, we're talking just about 45 years ago. And I suddenly thought, oh my God, I can completely relate to this guy. This is my God. So I went out and bought his first album, which was New Boots and Panties. He'd been with Kilburn and High Rose, but I bought New Boots and Panties, which is his first big LP, so to speak, back in the day of records. And he kind of changed my life. And then a few years later, when I was about 24, I was sitting in the radio station about to do an interview, and Ian Jury walked in to do an interview in the other studio. And I was thinking, and I was That's, as you said, meet your heroes. But I'm so pleased I met him. He was a top man, and I told, but I, funny enough, I sung. Uh, uh, my favourite song at the time was "Go to Sleep Now, Francis. You've done all you can with the day," which was about a lullaby for Francis. And I just had my first daughter. This is my third daughter. Yeah, my first daughter, Carly, and and he loved the fact that I identified one of his more obscure songs, if you will, and he sent his son down, who was on the front cover of the sleeve of New Boots and Panties. He said, "Go and get one of our special EPs." And the son came back with us, and he signed it. All my love, Dan, and Francis is for Carly, which was the name of my first daughter. And that's now, and I framed it immediately, and to this day it hangs on my daughter's wall. I'm a grandfather now.
Yeah,
I'm a grandfather now. Yeah.
40-year, probably 40-year-old thing. Is it up there? It's probably 40 years old. Is it the actual?
Without a shadow of a doubt, there it is. But because I framed it, it's still pretty pristine.
Pristine.
But yeah, it's because you said about never meet your heroes. He was my massive hero, and we got on very well. Briefly,
I think it's good when you say something obscure as well, like a song you love of theirs that isn't one of their big hits, because they always talk about the. So, for instance, Ian Jury, it would be "Hit Me with Your Rhythm Stick," wouldn't it? Or something like that.
I'm thinking that one.
Yeah. Which is fine, but Ian Jury did a lot better songs than that.
Yeah. Which fans I won't sing
him now. I won't sing him because his best ones were a bit saucy. So there we
are. He's probably from a similar area to you, would he be? Would he be from around a sort of similar area?
I think it was Essex. I think.
Essex, was he? Right.
Yeah. I was brought up in Barnet, which is North London, Hertfordshire, and then I bought my first house in Finchley, which is just up the road. I mean, I didn't move out until I got married for the second time, and then I married to Shepherd's Bush. I was always London. Then when the twins came, here's one of them. We moved to Surrey, to Weybridge. Maybe I tell you what, darling, I never smoke in front of you, do I? So maybe you should just go over there, away from Dad's horribleness.
Thank you for having me on.
No, that's all right. You're very welcome.
Lovely
nice to meet you.
That's my Lou. I love her so much, you know.
Ah, bless her.
Yeah. We live together now, and because as your children, I've got four children and a grandson, as I say. As your children grow up, you don't lose contact, but you're not as involved. So I'm so pleased that I'm with Lo. You know, she's the best girl in the world.
Do you look after her? Does she look after you, or a bit of both?
She looks after me.
Does she?
Yeah, I actually go, Luby. Remember Luby Lou from Andy Pandy?
Yeah.
Right? I go, sometimes I go, Nurse Luby, Dad not well. all I want is a cup of tea. Luby, Dad not cup of tea for Dad.
Of course, it's payback time, isn't it? You've looked after them, so it's payback time now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when me and Chris went to the event with you, Philip Pope, Michael Fenton Stevens, we really enjoyed it. And it was great the way you would always do the 1, 2, 3, 4s. When anybody would shout it or anybody, you would do it quite a few times.
I should have done it there, shouldn't I? I should have done it there. Yeah, well, that's the key line for Mental Mickey. So that's, and I quite like it because I did a 1, 2, 3, 4s. Funny enough, when I was in bands, in my teens, there would be, with all love and absolute respect for the wonderful John Sullivan, it's a pretty good one. The lead singer turns around and goes, "I did the 1, 2, 3, 4s." When I was growing up, as I say, in bands and stuff, I used to literally do that. If the drummer went 1, 2, 3, I would stop him and say, "I do the 1, 2, 3, 4." but I think Middle Mickey does it in such an authoritative way that that's why it's funny.
Did obviously was the idea John's, or did you have a bit of input into
Oh
that? Then?
no, it was all
No,
John
no.
Sullivan.
Was it?
Jesus.
Was wow, that's
Oh
So it
cool.
was
God, yeah. Oh God,
coincidence.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
this was the other thing I was thinking about. John's writing a few days ago. It's not just that all his lines were all, because I did a couple of other things for John Sullivan, and all his lines were always easy to learn. Um, yeah, sorry. The thing being is that because I'm not trying to big myself up here, but I've written more episodes than I've written over 200 transmitted episodes of various television programs, and I don't like it when people change my lines, but they do, and I change. But that's what happens. Not not the whole script or anything like that, but I would. There was no what John's lines were so perfect. There was no change. I've changed lots of writers' lines in my time. Lots. I've said, "Can I say this instead? This is a better rhythm for me. It feels more natural." Yeah. His lines were always absolutely spot on. You couldn't improve upon them.
I know
So,
Ray Butter.
again,
I know Ray Butter you mentioned last time, Daniel. He said there was 5 or 6 gags on every page, wasn't there? And normally,
yeah,
the top,
absolutely. Yeah.
You're lucky if you get one on a page, aren't you? Normally, but yeah.
Well, certainly in today's comedy, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, different level, wasn't it? Really. And did you keep the script down? Was you able to keep the
I
script?
wish I had. No, I didn't. No, I was a terrible. I mean, I'm not a hoarder, so I just get rid of everything.
And I think we've said before, people didn't really keep things as much as they do today. Everybody keeps if they can, but back then not so much.
Yeah, no, I'm a terrible. I just got rid of everything because basically, once you learn the lines, you don't need the script. You don't need the script anymore. You have the script. You've learned the lines. You've gone to rehearsals. You learned the lines. You don't need the script.
Plotting up the place, as it were. Plotting up the place.
Yeah, it's just
a
piece of paper. I mean, I wish I had. Obviously, especially with Fools and Horses, I wish I'd kept that script, but I didn't.
I suppose you wouldn't realise all these years later that the character would still be remembered and loved, even though he was in one episode.
No, for 3 small scenes. I mean, it's extraordinary. I'm so grateful. It's one I didn't even. I knew because I think it was series 4. I knew, and I loved Fools and Horses, and I used to watch it. So when Ray Butt said, basically, do you want to be in it? I was like, yeah, but I didn't realise how 40 years later or whatever it might be. No, it's not 40 years. Like 30 years ago, something like that.
nearly 40, 85.
We are talking about him.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. You have to look it up. I'm guessing I'm 65 now. I was 65 a few days ago, so I'm guessing I was probably 25. So that is 40 years.
Yeah. I think it was not. I think it was broadcast early 85, early 1985.
So does that sound
Yes,
about right?
nearly 38 years ago. Yeah, 38.
Right, okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, about 27. Yeah.
Funny, see, I can remember being in the pub down the road with David Threlford, not David, David Thewlis, and the band guys.
Oh yeah.
Just the pub just down the road, and not really thinking. I can literally visualize, and I always have. And this is, I'm not just saying this because Fools and Horses is a definite memory. The top of the pops, the Irish club at the end, the scene in the hall. I can remember kind of everything about those moments. Whereas sometimes people will say something, "Oh, I loved you in that," or "No, they say I loved you in that. You're okay in that," whatever they might say. And I'll think, did I do that? I can't even remember the job. Much more recently, but I can remember vividly Fools and Horses, not because of where we are now with Fools and Horses and conventions, etc., because it's also, for some reason, it's always stuck in my head. It's always been a sort of profound landmark of my career, even though it's just a few scenes.
What's happened? Because obviously David Thewlis, we know Harry Potter. We mentioned it last time. What happened to the other member of the band? Do we know what happened to him? Was he a musician? The other fella?
Yeah. Do you know what? And with all love and respect, I don't. People have mentioned this to me. I think who we're talking about was in a big band or things like that. Remember, I'm an Injury Clash kind of guy.
Yeah.
Kind of person. So I never kept up with. I suppose once I got to the age of about 28, that was the end of me liking anyone after that. I only sort of kind of like the bands that I grew up with as a young man, or the artists I grew up with.
Yeah, and you mentioned you mentioned you've always been a Fools and Horses fan. What's your favourite episode from the show?
Well, like I always say, it's got to be. I wish I could bring Lulu back because she would say that it's only rock and roll.
Not biased at all.
my favourite episode, absolutely God's honest truth, and I do say this, is Phil Pope's episode.
Is it?
The cry episode. Yeah. I think that's
Stage Fright. Yeah,
it was brilliant. It was brilliantly written. It was brilliantly acted. The pressure put on Del to produce a wonderful evening, and the length he went to make that. I mean, it was perfectly written and brilliantly acted by all those concerned. So that I think, that really was. And I tell you, it's a few years ago. We're doing a Fools and Horses convention. Phil Pope was there, and we went out the night. I think it was the night before. It might have been, and it was a karaoke club, and people recognised Phil and said, "Would you do the song?" Now, he'd never done it before. He told me genuinely since he hadn't done it up until that point, and reluctantly, but Phil, being Phil, is a great guy. He said, "Yeah, come on, I'll do it." And I felt honoured to be in the hall. I remember sitting there with a scotch and thinking, "My God, he's actually doing it." This is fantastic. It's a real experience to see Phil Pope reproduce that song, and he does it brilliantly. And at conventions, he'll do it, and he gets a lady up on stage to sing the Raquel part. Not the Raquel part. What am I looking for? Is that right?
Yeah, Raquel. Right, you're right, Raquel.
Yeah.
Raquel.
And it's always wonderful. It's really, I mean that, genuinely wonderful.
I know Philip was saying, because he's been on the podcast, he was saying it was hard for John Sullivan to write that because he had to use lines without the word W in, didn't he?
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. On the so no one got the gag, did they? Until he blurts it out quiet. No one knows the gag at that point, do they? No. Amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, but people being people, they might have gone back and said, "Well, hang on, he said his R there perfectly." And probably John Sullivan only realised that later on. Then therefore had to go back and change a few things.
Splitting hairs, as Del Boy would say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's funny though, isn't it? You've all got this. I think the best. What do you call it? Special guests, you'd be called, wouldn't you? The most memorable ones have got the sort of the quote, haven't they? You've got the 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got Quine. Vass has got the Scarlet Pimpernel, isn't it? Yeah.
The
Shadow. Shadow. Yeah. And they're the ones that stick out, aren't they? Those little.
Yeah, and also Mike Fenton Stevens, who does the groovy.
Groovy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But these are kind of really quality. I mean, all the episodes were good, but these are. I don't know what to tell you. That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah. Sorry.
What did you ever get into the Rock and Chips at all? The prequels.
No, not at all. No. Funny enough, I won't go on. I don't want to say too much about that. To be honest.
No, okay, no. I didn't, because it's quite nostalgic that it's different than Fools and Horses, but it's set in the '60s, isn't it? And the mods and things and a bit of music.
To be honest, I never actually saw that.
No. I thought. Yeah, I thought you might, if you had seen it. I thought it'd be a good one for you actually to be in. Yeah, quite.
There was some discussion Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
all right.
I mean, listen,
Yeah.
I was up for it. You know, fuck me, I was up for it. But there we are.
Oh, were you? Ah, okay. Yeah, I did think the other day when you were coming back on, I thought, yeah, your sort of thing. I would have said, yeah, sort of
Yeah,
music, etc. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, interesting.
yeah. Would you've done another episode, Dan, if it had come along?
Fuck yeah, yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Where would he be now? Do you think, Mental Mickey, or is that obvious where he'd be? What would he be doing now? How long would he be serving?
One of our many prisons or mental institutions. I say that with all love and respect, by the way.
Yeah.
I think
Right,
he would have
no.
blown his money, wouldn't he, Mental Mickey? If he ever got any
Yeah.
money, it would have been gone like that.
Yeah, it's a really good question. Do you know what? You'd have to give me a long time to work that one out. Yeah.
He could have made it, couldn't he? Could have made it as a musician, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. He was the last time we
He
saw
was.
him. He was on the box.
Yeah.
He
was better than Spandau Ballet, wasn't he, in the charts, as you said last time?
He could be shagging Madonna. So
yeah.
Well, it's been great for you to join us again, Daniel, and we'll see you again soon, I expect.
I hope so. My pleasure. All my love, guys.
We need one before you go. Yeah, do it again. Sorry, I talked. Go on.
That's all right. Well, in that case, you've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll come in.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I told you once, Chris. I'm not going to tell you again, mate. I'll do the 1, 2, 3, 4s.
Great. And I'll do it, Daniel. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I told you once, Chris. I'm not going to tell you again. I'll do the 1, 2, 3, 4s. And listen here. Stop me if you heard it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Dan.
Still got it. Thanks, Dan.
Good fun.
Oh, my love.
Hooky Street.